Okay, so we'll go questions in the room first, and then we'll see who's got anything on Zoom, guys.
Dobbo, was this a difficult team for you to pick? I suppose that the Ospreys game might have been in the back of your mind.
Yeah, Ospreys game is very much, and also the time of year and the time of kickoff makes it tricky for us. The thing is, if you look at the kickoff times that we play at, maybe compared to some other guys around the country, it's a tricky thing when it gets to the Cape, when it gets to this time of year. Obviously, last week was rain-based. Steve, the team actually took us despite the amount of change, it actually took us didn't take us too long to choose. I think there were a couple of imperatives. First imperative, what we needed to win this week and what the intensity we needed. That's where something like Salmaan is really important. The second thing was looking at guys who probably put a lot into this union, who won't play, this team, who won't play in the stadium again, in our colours. So there's a sort of nod to that, not the overriding thing. And then thirdly, we are going to be in a playoff, and there's some guys that are a little bit, one or two niggles, and you might think, well, I do think a guy like Evan Roos that's how TV used to pronounce it, remember? Okay. Evan Roos, and Ali van Mark, for example, or Warwick. Those are guys I'm not sure that we could afford to be without in the playoff. It's where we felt we had, the first thing was to win this week. So let's take, for example, Salmaan. We could have really started Connor, protected Salmaan, is playing some of the best rugby I think I've seen. But I think we need his leadership and his intensity to set a tone, because we don't want an Ospreys experience. Then, as I said, other two factors came in, which were protecting some guys and then nodding to some guys who are leaving.
Your team is actually stronger than the one that lost to Ospreys.
Is it?
If you look at the Ospreys team was a much weaker team than this. This is a strong team. The question is really the continuity.
Yeah.
I mean, going into a playoff, which is 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Well, it's 3 weeks away it's 3 weeks gap for somebody like Warwick.
Yeah.
I mean, is that not a concern?
Yeah, and losing momentum is a concern. And so there's a risk to this, what we're doing tomorrow. And we're a little bit worried about that. Also because the team is in such a good space, and it's been pretty consistent. So, but we know, for example, we have to play one Mani because you'd like to keep Sasha, keep his innings going and flow. But if the fact is, if Sasha's injured or out, Mani won't have played at all. Mani has to become eligible, so he has to play. To control his game time when long-term injury, he has to start. Because it's not like a loose forward where you can actually cover it with another loose forward if there's a minute in the injury in the 5th minute. If Sasha went down in the 5th minute, Mani can't play 75, so we'd be in trouble. So that does worry me a little bit, Gavin, that we're in such a nice space in terms of how we're playing, the fight, the intensity. And that's actually a reason why Moon is sort of keeping his hand on the tiller this week, is to make sure we keep those standards, But he's a threat to definitely. I mean, Evan Roos has been immense the last few weeks. So.
But at the same time, I mean, you've got guys that are wanting to play their hearts out because they want to try and be part of the... I know it's not cliche.
It's true.
I could actually write a story before you answer the question. But, it is nonetheless true.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lionel's going to be exceptional, for example, number 8 on the flank. Yeah, it is. I think it's a credit, other than the injured guy. Look, I say this to you every week. I'm not going to relist the guys who are injured, and then the guys who we're not playing, and still put out a team like this shows me the project's heading in the right direction. I think very much so.
You can't tell us, because you told us that the guys are leaving. I mean, we know that the 2 scrum halves are leaving. Is Dave any up this year as well?
Yeah. Dave's family is in Scotland. I did chat to him. He's a really good, isn't he? A good professional, great human being. He's been very happy. What I liked about him, because obviously it's tough for him. His family's in Scotland, so his meaning and purpose and everything's to play for us. And he actually messaged me before this last game, before the Dragons game, and said, "Those 3 youngsters are going so well. Please don't choose me. I'll rather help at training." And I thought, wow. But he can't be here away from his family, not playing, so Dave's going back. I think people might not think they've seen much of him yet, but he's brought a lot to the group and professionally, the way he writes his detail. And he'll be good tomorrow in those conditions, got no doubt.
And maybe it's not professional, I should ask in the press conference, but I mean, what's the situation with Wanda Sealy? He's going off contract now. Is he heading overseas, or is he?
I think that's the one that's it's a little bit uncertain. Yeah, one is still uncertain. It's pity because he's done really well.
He's done well.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
So it was a sort of clear, cut and dried thing a while ago, and now I suppose a little bit of a grey area, but I suspect he's going to go overseas.
It is quite sad in a way because you kind of revive his career here.
Yeah.
So when sometimes feels, I don't mean disrespectful in any way, but one would think that the player would also bear that same thing in mind, like when he makes, but I shouldn't, maybe it's the wrong way of saying it over here, but there's a natural sort of also this thing, players leaving and so on, there's quite a natural flow of players from any union, I think it's, it's going to happen that players would. Are you confident that, sort of the guys coming in from the ranks up and one or two acquisitions, are you happy that the project will sort of, retain its momentum in terms of the experience you can put out in the teams?
Yeah, I think we're going to get better. It's on 1 million signings for next year. Took some Tunu and Kobus Ranach. You work at why we had to bring Kobus in. Imad Khan is going to be sensational, so it's a nice. So I think just as these guys get caps, Salmaan Moerat, 21 years old, 50 Stormers caps. I don't think it can't have happened before, Mike. It's extraordinary. And imagine what he's going to be like, in 4 years' time or 3 years' time. And that goes back to your Wendy point. It's tough for a guy like Wendy needs to play. That's we've got to return on him playing. Now, if Salmaan wants to play centre, and there's still Ruan now, and every now and again Dan. I don't want to keep a guy here just for not to be a number one because that makes him sad. And I don't want to. I'm not saying that's the solution with Wendy, but I think the project in terms of these guys, Marcel Tunis, and I don't think would ever be on a national radar or has been on a national. Certainly hasn't been. There's no. But he goes and gets man of the match last week. I just feel that the project in terms of bringing these guys and getting reward for giving them game time, it's really working well.
Is that?
No.
Is that still part of the conversation when you contract a player? I've been thinking of Matuni, for instance, which you're doing a good trade in Durban schoolboys, as you said at the moment.
Yeah.
And the one from my old school is Vernon. If I was the Maritzburg College old boys coming down here next year, I'd sort of start thinking, well, maybe I'm not going to be first choice. I think when you move or you bring somebody in, you almost have to make sure. Otherwise, your ownership's saying, well, you can't tell me you have to get. Because our project is very much focused on our local people and people who understand the region and the culture. It was an obvious one given Kitsy's injury, tragic injury and retirement. But Vern is a delight. But listen, we need 3 or 4, and we've got a. Everywhere I look now, our roster's getting better. They're 1 and 2 holes, but Lucette's good. But is that the conversation you still have when you contract a player and that you will start?
I can't promise.
There's some coaches who do make promises.
No, we can't promise him that. But for us to go outside, it has to be somebody's going to make a difference. We're not a team who just contract to buy a loose forward. There was, if you think when Kitsig went down, Ali Vermaak was injured at 36, Brock was 39. Steve Satolia also battled with injuries the whole time.
Footy as well.
No, we've got loose heads. Okay, and so I thought, to get a Springbok loose head with his carrying thing was just we couldn't overlook it. But I can't promise him. It's going to be kind of competition there. It's just fantastic. And this Vernon has just bolted. As I said to you last week, it's a lesson for me. Give these guys an opportunity, you know what I mean?
You always, the best person to always talk to is a tight head.
Yeah.
I think Niaz was worked out to select him to be sort of in the World 15.
Well, that's where we've got these great Tuesday sessions, which are becoming famous. I think Netland gets nervous, doesn't he, for a Tuesday session because you have this young, angry Vernon coming in. Can't just arrive at training with your, what's his name, Colin Firth hairstyle and going for a gentle scrum. You're going to get a hiding. So those sessions are great because Brocky goes with the other juniors and they get. And then Brocky, he's a scrum coach. He can come in. He's just scrummed against Vernon or scrummed against Potty. He can come and give us a pretty accurate assessment.
That was just on Scarran Dobeni as well. What about him? He's another guy. Is he staying on? Is he answer? And then also Frans Moerat with the package. What's the update there? Because he hasn't been named in the Springbok alignment also. What's the update?
Look, I think he's available for the next few. Look, I don't think he'll play for us the rest. Hopefully, we've got 4 more games. France, I think it's a product, like I said before, of how it settles down that injury. So there's no big call on France.
And Scarra,
And Scarra,
Go for it.
you're not going to announce?
because I know he was at the Sharks on loan for a while, you know?
Well, we can, but I mean, you might as well just...
I don't. So it's a tricky question because
Sorry.
I think it's nicer to, for Scarra's sake, to actually do an announcement and proper thing. But then I can't sit here and lie to you. So we'll put cruel on Scarra not to do an announcement. But I'll tell you, Scarra signed another year, which is brilliant. Sorry, Scarra, for the no to break the news like this, but maybe we can still do something for him. But Scarra's staying on, which is great. We felt that with Joseph going. We got some really good young hookers, two good ones in JJ and Andre Hugo, and we felt that Bupa is going to be special. Just needs to get him on the field. And then we got Keegan Blankenberg has come in from UCT, but they're both, they haven't got much rugby. So, we just thought if JJ, or God forbid, two of them were injured, there's a guy who can scrum in a Champions Cup final, sort of thing, is Scarra. He's looking after himself, a great team man, so very pleased he's staying on for another year.
You're not I mean, you like turning older players into coaches. He's not
What's that? That would be the poacher becoming the goalkeeper, wouldn't it? So, I think I'd be pulling. But a role in the organisation would be great for Scat. It might be more in the commercial or marketing.
Robert, you are kind of, you show a lot of class sometimes in terms of contracting. Dion gets hurt. Another year, you're stuck with Ciabella as well. I mean, is that like with the value personally that you have in terms of giving the players that kind of support?
Look, I think, I don't know if it's me personally, but I think the group really appreciate it if you stand by a player. These guys have all proven themselves, whether it's Scat now, people are going to say, why? I'm sure on social media somebody's going, how are you extending a 34-year-old hooker who hasn't played for you? But if you're in the group and know what they bring and, you work with them every day, it's an important message for us. We're never going to put somebody on the scrap heap because, let him without sin cast the first stone in Sibilla's case. So it's a very important value. That's what we did. Mike announced Dion literally 2 weeks after the injury. We're not signing him because he got injured, but we've still got faith. And I think it's an important part of why we've got some of the culture we have, that the players feel safe and that they belong. I'm not trying to sound like a preacher, it's important. It's an important part that we look after our own.
So we're just turning to the game. I suppose there might be people online who are hoping that we will do that. Just like asking you about try scoring bonus points and that is a bit like asking the airline if their aeroplanes are going to fly in the air, because you get a bonus point every home game, but you're heading towards the playoffs. You're heading towards the playoffs now. You've come off a season where, I don't know if it's, I was talking to Michael beforehand, I'm not sure that there's been a Stormers team that's played. I don't count Stellenbosch because I know that's a home game and you didn't get a bonus point there for that. And that was the only one. Even your Cape Town Champions Cup game, you got a strong scoring bonus point. But you're heading towards the playoffs now, and maybe someone can also answer this question. It's just, are you sort of heading into that sort of like playoff mode now, like maybe sort of getting guys ready for playoff rugby? Because a bonus point doesn't matter tomorrow, only the win matters. Is it like we're getting onto that sort of knockout footing now, like we start playing knockout rugby?
It's not something we've talked about as a team. I think it's practical tomorrow night. As I say, I don't like 7 o'clock kickoff. Cardiff, it's their last 16 game, isn't it? So they're going to be in knockout mode. We absolutely have to get a point out of the game. Obviously, we want far more, but because we talked about it, we don't want to go to necessarily run the risk of finishing 8th.
Yeah.
So and I think given that it's going to be a little bit like a knockout game. Not that we designed the plan. I think just the reasons I've told you are going to make it a bit like it. But we're not. Our plan is slightly different. We've got a big contestable game. We know that they've got a big contestable game, but. We're still going to go for the quickest way of making sure we're not finishing 8th is getting the 4 tries, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
But also, we're not going to let a team beat us by more than 7, that's for sure. So,
we're not going to let a team beat you.
hopefully not. But it's probably a natural, rather than our force, it's probably a natural progression to a sort of playoff-like game,
Salmaan, how confident are you from like all the issues that we mentioned, like continuity and all that? How does the team feel about the challenge and you as a captain?
Look, I feel fairly confident. Actually, very confident, to be honest with you. I think if you go through the list of players that are playing, I mean, a player like Skada, he's been there before. He's played in far bigger games than these. He knows what it takes. Nietas is back. He's been out for a couple of weeks. He's one of our leaders. I feel it's equally a very strong team. Yeah, there will be the challenge of new combinations, which is natural and normal, and we will probably make a couple of mistakes out there. But I've absolutely no doubt that the guys will fight for each other, and I have no doubt that we will be up for it.
How do you like in the 2 weeks before you might be going to Glasgow, you might be going to Durban, obviously if you go to Glasgow you go a lot earlier. How do you ensure that those guys who are sitting out tomorrow remain sharp? You're not going to take a week. You're not going to do the normal thing and take like 4 days off straight after this game, are you?
No, we're going to. Also, there's a lineman camp next week, Wednesday through Friday. So we'll push hard on Monday, Tuesday. Luckily, that's the one advantage of having a Friday game this week. It was a shorter week and put us under a little bit of pressure in terms of getting organised. But great, the guys can have a proper weekend off because these guys, Springboks, will be busy. But we'll push Monday with a lot of the quarterfinal opponent installation, move a bit more on Tuesday, and then let's give the guys, and then the non-Springboks, which are more than I thought they were going to be, we'll train on Thursday as well. I mean, we might fly out Friday, if it is Glasgow, because give us a whole week there, so we can run a proper week, rather than we lose 2 training days when we fly out on the Tuesday, so of a Saturday game.
Well, guys, all good. Is anyone on Zoom who's got a question? Just put up your hands.
Cool.
No one.
Hey John, it's Simon here in Cardiff.
Hi, Simon.
Just a quick question. Is that okay?
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Good to see you. I'm just asking you in general terms what you're expecting from Cardiff this weekend. You obviously mentioned it being almost like a knockout game for them. But what have you made of their progress this season?
I think they've done really well. I'll tell you what I think I like about they're very organised on attack and defence. Their defence is spacing. It's a really organised defence system. We've also played the way they attack off 10 and their options off there. It's actually, we've been quite lucky that the last 4 opposition all had this quite sophisticated attack. Connacht is very much so, as you saw, Benetton, they're playing off 10, and these guys, and Cardiff are like that. Also, they put a lot of contestables up, so we know that's coming. It's how they've beaten us before. But I think that team that beat us last time in Cardiff, it wasn't as sort of advanced as this Cardiff team. And they've probably got the best Welsh scrum, and they've been good the whole season. So we know this is I think it's a really, what they've achieved this season on a reduction in budget in the circumstances Welsh rugby have gone through. I think they deserve a lot of credit, and they clearly are going to put up a hell of a fight. If you put so much into a season and made progress, they don't want it to fade out on a cold night in Cape Town. So we know what we've got coming here.
John, I think a lot of Cardiff fans are hoping you're going to rest all your star players, but you talked about your changes, but it still looks a very strong side you picked.
I think it's a really strong Stormers side. And I probably forgot the piece that Salmaan suggested. They're having guys like Nietlin Forshire and JD Schickerling back, Dan Duplessis back in the starting team. Marnie Lebok's a guy you would have heard of. It's Herschel Jantjies is a World Cup winner. I say it's really good reflection on the Stormers project that we can make these changes and still put out a team, I think, of this quality. They're internationals and they're URC winners throughout the team. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you, John. Good to speak to you again. All the best.
Thanks, Simon.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll catch you here tomorrow.
Thank you.